Hey everybody, this is Kyle with AttackOfTheFanboy.com, and this is Outriders. This is a new game coming from Square Enix, and People Can Fly. It's coming out later this year, no specific date just yet, and I actually hadn't been following this game very closely. It was a bit of a surprise to get a chance to check it out at PAX East 2020, but I'm pretty glad I did because I came away very impressed. It was definitely one of the best games that I checked out at the show. This right here is pretty far into the game, maybe an hour or so. There's a pretty long intro where you get a big chunk of story, and that was actually a big part of why I enjoyed Outriders so much, was that the story was very interesting. The characters were cool. The world was unique and interesting. You may want to just kind of look at it and quickly dismiss it as a looter shooter, maybe make comparisons to Destiny or other stuff like that, but you would be cheating yourself, I think, out of a lot of unique gameplay experiences, but also just interesting design mechanics. The people behind this seem very dedicated to giving you a story that engages you, delivering some characters that really glue you to this world and give you something more to talk about and engage with than just running around and shooting bad guys and seeing what pops out and all that sort of stuff. So just to give it a rundown of what an Outrider is, and we're going to have a ton of content about this. I'm going to write a lot. I'm not going to talk throughout this whole video, so if you're just wanting to get to the gameplay, feel free to skip ahead. I'm going to also have a lot of information from an interview as well, so make sure that you check out the site attackthefanboy.com. We'll have a lot of stuff on there, and I should have a lot of this down in the description below. But an Outrider is really just sort of this is a sci-fi western in a lot of ways, and that came up in my interview with Joshua and Shimon, who are writers on the game. That I don't want to call it Firefly because clearly it's not, but it does draw from that Western mentality, and that's what an Outrider is. It's the person who rides ahead of the group, scouting ahead, seeing if it's safe. And what's going on in this world is that Earth is destroyed. Humanity is looking for a new home. They find a new home in Enoch, this planet that's very far away, so they need to sort of build a generational ship, and they have cryo sleep and all that. So I'm not getting into spoilers or the deeper story elements. I only got to see it once, so I might get some stuff wrong. But anyway, humanity is going to this new planet, Enoch. These Outriders are sent ahead to scout it out. They get there. Obviously, things don't quite go as planned. And then what happens is that they encounter these issues, and your character, goes to sleep for 30 years. Something very, very bad happens to him. There's a mysterious energy that changes the rules of physics and manipulates people and changes them, often killing them. It's pretty brutal. And then you end up going to sleep, and you wake up in this post-apocalypse sort of world where not only is Earth gone, as far as you know, but also this mission to establish a new colony failed, and everyone that's left is at war with everyone else, and the planet is hostile. There's still these mysteries going on. There's a weird signal that you need to investigate, and what happens to you specifically is that mysterious energy that's going around the planet and killing people doesn't kill you. It reconstitutes you as something else. You're called the Altered. That's what gives you these abilities. You've seen me using them already. I've only unlocked 2 as of now, but I unlocked 4 throughout the rest of the video. There were 3 classes in the demo. One is, I don't remember the name. I chose Devastator. The other 2 were basically time manipulation and warping and spatial warping, and a pyro sort of character who could set people on fire. And this is a really co-op heavy game, but I wanted to start out with some single player because it does scale very well. I play most of these types of games by myself. I don't have a lot of friends. I'm kidding. But I don't like to play multiplayer most of the time. So I do like to play by myself. I like to see how games work as a single player experience. And this one worked really, really well. I had a great time playing solo. But then about 2/3 into this video, we do load up and all three of us are playing together, and all three of us are different characters. And what that shows is how these abilities work together. We without even talking, we would form these strategies where one player would freeze time around a group of enemies. I would rush in as the Devastator, sort of the tank of the group. So I would rush in and just get a ton of damage, melee damage, hitting them. I also, my first ability is sort of an AoE effect right in front of me. Second ability is sort of mobile cover myself with rocks. And then I unlock a later ability where I sort of jump up into the air and lunge at characters and they explode. And so, yeah, the first character would freeze them. I would go in and do whatever I could just to kill everyone and do a bunch of damage. And then while I'm doing that, the pyro character is also just setting them on fire and causing them to explode. Caused some really cool moments where just like everything is going crazy. There's enemies everywhere, but we're managing it. It may be hard. I was very curious, actually, so be sure to leave a comment just letting me know, but I was curious if it conveyed in the video just how managed this chaos was. It feels very chaotic, but in the moment, you can feel it. You can feel that team dynamic, that co-op dynamic, and we were working together without really having to communicate. And it was great. It was really cool just having these moments where like I would be firing at someone, all of a sudden they just kind of slow down, and then they light on fire and explode, and my teammate is standing behind them, and their viscera just kind of falls to the ground, and there he stands, victorious. So really, really cool stuff. Obviously there is also loot. We don't get too deep into that. We unlocked a few weapons. I was pretty far behind because I played solo, so you make sure that you kind of pay attention to what guns they're using. They have better equipment than I do. But overall, I think the sense that I got from this, and I'm going to skip ahead just to keep from playing too long of cutscenes. This is a much bigger battle going on here. But the feeling that I got also, and this was something that my friend Dylan mentioned, was that this merged the two types of gameplay that you usually get from a looter shooter, which is shooting and abilities. Some games lean heavily into abilities. If you're shooting at enemies, you're wasting your time. You're just kind of dealing minor damage, a little bit here and there. Other games rely heavily on the shooting, and abilities are secondary. This merges those two very well. I actually had to catch myself because I hoard my abilities. Because cooldowns are such a big thing, because I do just sort of shoot most of the time. I play a lot of shooters. I was shooting enemies over and over and over again and working on that and going from cover to cover trying to take them out. And then I was just like, why am I not using these abilities? Because in the back of my head I thought that they wouldn't recharge in time. But if you watch, they recharge very, very quickly. They want you to use these abilities over and over again. They want you to supplement your abilities with shooting and supplement your shooting with abilities. And it does hit that sweet spot. At least in this demo, at least in this early gameplay, it did hit that sweet spot for me where I was constantly being able to use my abilities, constantly also in cover, constantly shooting, and all of those things led into each other. All of those things blended together, worked together to beat the level, to defeat enemies in really fun, unique ways. I was always having to think tactically. I was always having to think strategically as I took on these battles and make sure that I was using what tools were available to me, because a lot of tools were available to me, even if I didn't sense that, even if I avoided them because I am used to a different type of gameplay. But overall, let me go ahead and sum it up so that you can get about half of this video of just gameplay. The world level, by the way, is just basically difficulty, better rewards for higher difficulty, enemies take more damage, all that sort of stuff. Overall, the game looked gorgeous. If there's any sort of issues with this video, if you think it doesn't look great, that's because of YouTube. That's because I was recording in 1080p. I was playing on PC in 4K. Frame rate was solid. It was gorgeous. The landscapes were great. This is obviously pre-release. There were hitches, issues here and there. The game is far, far from release. They have plenty of time to iron that stuff out. But as of now, it looked great. It felt great. It played great. And it did slot itself into a genre that is becoming more and more populated without feeling derivative of any one in particular experience. And I think that it offers something of its own that players will be interested in. I have been wrong before. I have been excited for looter shooters that turned out to be not quite as good, and you never know how the post game is going to be. We did bring that up in the interview, so make sure to check that out. But they are thinking about it, I'm sure, and we'll just have to wait and see how that stuff goes. But currently, what I played of it, I came away quite impressed. It was one of the best games that I played at PAX East, and I think whether you like looter shooters, shooters in general, or just action games, this should be something that you're looking for later this year. So that was Outriders. I'm Kyle, and be sure to check attackofthefanboy.com for more things from PAX East, more things about Outriders, and anything video games. Thanks again.
yacked them. I'm seeing a lot of dead. They look like they've been sauteed.
Shit. Be careful.
Weird electrical sparks flying everywhere.
Means you're getting close. This altar, did I not mention? He's a goddamn electro freak.
You mean he lights up light bulbs?
More like flash frying everything for a mile. Look, I know you've always been able to handle yourself, but this son of a bitch is on a whole other level.
As of recently, so am I.
you.